Today I'll be interviewing my dad for this compassion interview. So I'm going to start by asking you if I have your permission to record you for this video.
Yes.
Okay. May I have permission to use your first, last name, and your image for this project?
Yes.
And may I please ask your name, occupation, and what city you call home?
Joshua King, Corrections Officer, Shepherd, Michigan.
Okay. How would you describe yourself in, relation to other people?
Outgoing at times. I can be quiet. I can be loud. Cordial most of the time. Mean some of the time. So.
Okay. How would you describe yourself with your relationships to other people? Who are you to other people?
Husband, father, friend, coworker.
Cool. How do you feel today?
I feel fine.
Okay. How do you really feel today?
I feel fine. Tired. Always tired.
Do you have a reason you're always tired?
Work. Kids. Wife. I tend to stay pretty busy, so.
Okay. I would like to ask you to tell me a story about a difficult time in your life when you received someone's compassion.
I don't know if it'd be a difficult time, but when I was a kid, I didn't really have much of a father when I was young. And then my mom's second husband basically raised me as his own, and did even after they got divorced. So I guess, if that's what you'd call compassion, I don't know if that would be to that man, I'm his son, and to me, he's my father, and so.
Very interesting. Thank you for sharing. Could you tell me a little bit more about maybe your first time meeting him or getting to know him a little bit more?
I don't really remember the first time I met him. I was pretty young. I was maybe 3-4 years old. I do remember when I asked him if I could call him Dad. I was probably about 5 or 6, and my biological father was supposed to pick me up, and he chose not to for one of I don't know what reason. And at that point, I don't know, at that age, I don't know how you determine that's what you're going to do, but I asked him if I could call him Dad, and he said yes, and so he's been my dad ever since. So.
Have you ever thought of letting him adopt you?
I tried. My biological father wouldn't sign off his parental rights, so we tried, even though I really didn't have a relationship with my biological father until I was about 21. So, but yeah, that would have just been a piece of paper, you know. My mom basically gave him power of attorney over me, so he could make decisions regarding my life until I was 18. So, in the end, it was basically the same. So.
Okay. When you remember the compassion that was shown to you, how do you feel about reliving your memories with your dad?
Happy. I got lucky that somebody was willing to do that for me. Not a lot of people get that chance or that opportunity. And I wasn't the greatest kid. I got in trouble a lot. And if he wouldn't have been there, I don't know how I would have turned out. So, as he likes to put it, I work at a prison. He didn't know if I wasn't going to live in one. So,
Can you tell me a story of a time when you offered compassion to someone? Big or small?
not an overly compassionate person. I would probably say my sister. When our mom passed away, she had a really hard time with it, and still kind of has a hard time. So, just try to do a little bit more for her when I can. Just try to talk to her more often than we probably did before my mom passed away. We're both pretty busy, so we don't get a chance to see each other a lot. But and for me and her, I mean, we didn't get along really when we were younger. Different views on life, I guess, but not necessarily my mom passing away got us closer, but as we grew up, we got closer. But she had a really hard time with it, so I had to basically take it all off her plate, planning the funeral and making all those decisions. And so I guess that would be the one time I shouldn't say the one time, but probably one of the most recent times that I can remember.
Do you guys think you have a stronger bond now that you showed her this compassion during that time, or?
Yeah, I mean,
or strengthened your bond you have?
I think we communicate with each other a lot better. Willing to tell each other actually what we think instead of holding back and worrying about upsetting the person even though they need to hear the truth.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I would say it helped.
Okay.
Brought us closer together. Probably me, her, and my younger brother. We got closer because of it instead of further apart, which I've seen happen a lot. You know, you have a parent like that, and they're the bond that kind of holds you together. Where this kind of brought us all a little closer together, where we try to hang out more, we talk more, all that kind of stuff. So.
Okay. Do you think communication is a strong part of compassion and, like, helps us build more compassion with other people?
Well, yeah, because, I mean, if you can't communicate how you feel, I mean, you know, you can show somebody how you feel, but
saying it
has not more meaning, but I think opens the door up to it a little more. When you can communicate how you actually feel or with that person, it gives you an opportunity, I think, to actually show them that as well. Where if you can't communicate how you feel about it, you know.
Yeah. Is there a time you or someone else needed compassion and didn't receive it, and why do you think that is?
I'm sure there is, but off the top of my head, I could tell you why. Sometimes I think people don't receive it.
Yeah.
People don't know, you know, or they don't know how to offer that to certain people. Or it could just be the person that needs it doesn't allow it. I mean, I can be that way. You know, I don't want, to me, sometimes compassion feels like pity. And I don't want to be pitied by anybody. So, everybody needs compassion at some point in their life. They need compassion. Now, whether or not they have somebody there that's willing to give that to them, you know, I don't know. I've been pretty lucky, but I know there's plenty of people that haven't. And like I said, I'm not the most compassionate person. So sometimes I don't recognize when people need it. So.
Thank you for sharing that. Is there a time when you wish you would have shown more compassion but didn't?
Yeah, uh, I'm sure there is. Whether or not I wish I would have shown more compassion, but should I have? Yes. When my biological father actually passed away, his stepson was probably more his son than I ever was. And I tried, but I just wasn't, I didn't have that relationship with him. So at a certain point, I just kind of cut those ties.
Mm-hmm.
And, or even my sisters through my biological father, I don't have much of a relationship with them. So should I have, when that happened, probably been more compassionate? I'm sure I should have been, but
Mm-hmm.
I just didn't have that relationship to where it would have been genuine, for me to show them that when we didn't have that type of relationship.
Mm-hmm.
So,
do you think compassion is important, and in what ways do you think it is
well,
important?
like I said, I think everybody needs it
Mm-hmm.
at some point in their life. You're gonna need somebody to show you some compassion, and it might be the smallest little thing. You're just having a bad day, and one bad day could turn into 2 bad days or a bad week. But somebody, and it could be the smallest thing. Somebody gets you a coffee or just calls you on the phone and gives you somebody to talk to or vent to. Compassion can come in so many different ways that if you don't know what that person's the rest of their day or the rest of their week is going to end up like, in you just showing them a little bit of compassion or listening to them or something, like, can change that person's whole day, their whole outlook on that day. So I guess that would be how I view it. So
do you think sometimes we show too much compassion?
I do, especially in this day and age. I think people are so worried about hurting somebody's feelings or or having them see you as not having any compassion just because you spoke your mind or you spoke what you believe or your opinion, that we worry too much about hurting somebody else's feelings when it comes to stuff where sometimes somebody needs you not to show them compassion. Because if you're doing that all the time, then that's all I don't think that's good either. So as my parents used to call it, sometimes you got to show people tough love. So yes, I would say we do show too much compassion nowadays, but I also think there's a lot of times when people should show a little more compassion and they don't. It's kind of a catch-22. There's no middle ground when it comes to stuff, even that anymore. You may show it within your family or something, but to the outside world, you have no compassion for the outside world. So.
Excuse my dog. Okay. Oh, do you think, like, pity is different from compassion in some ways?
Yes.
Okay.
Because go ahead.
Sorry. And how do you, like, decipher between the two?
Sometimes it's hard. Sometimes it's hard to figure out if somebody's being real with you. Pity, I think, is more if it feels like somebody's constantly being compassionate to you about every little thing, that's pity. It's almost like you would treat a young child, where, it's okay. Well, sometimes it's not okay, but they're gonna placate you by telling you it's okay. And I think sometimes it may be a way to get people to shut up. Sometimes it may be a way of you're trying to make the person feel better, but sometimes people just, I mean, they don't need to feel better. They need to be sad or have a bad, I mean, like I said, it's sometimes you need a bad day to realize what you actually have. You know, so if you got people constantly, oh, it'll be okay, or I don't know, you know, handling you with kids gloves because they feel that's the way you have to be. That's not gonna work either. So,
if you were to offer words of wisdom about compassion, what would they be?
I guess to make it feel like you're not going to pity somebody, or think about times in your life when you needed compassion and when that person showed you genuine compassion, and learn from that on when you should do it. I'm not saying compassion should be a learned behavior, but it kind of is. So I would just say, you know, learn from your experience when you needed it and try and be more receptive to it, but also be willing to offer it.
Well, thank you so much for speaking with me. I learned a lot about you as a person and how you viewed compassion and your ideas of pity versus compassion, and how maybe the compassion you've got shown in your life has impacted you and will further impact you in how you treat others and how you both view compassion and give compassion. So thank you for that. This was a very meaningful discussion for me because you're my dad and I like to know a little bit more about how you view the world and like what you've been through. So it was very nice to talk to you again. But if I have follow-up questions, can I contact you again?
Yeah, we live in the same house.
Yeah, we do. Thank you for talking with me, sir.